You are listening to the Metal Command Podcast.
Welcome back to the Metal Command Podcast. Tony here with you, and today I'm bringing you an interview with the Gems and with Emlee and Guernica, former members of Thundermother, who now have their own band. This album right here, Phoenix. Great interview. I met these ladies about, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now, but definitely a fantastic album. And there will be a review coming up for this album. But it's like classic rock meets modern heavy metal. I really love this. Check out the interview with the Gems, Guernica and Emlee. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see and hear, hit the subscribe button, follow the show on Facebook, and check out the interview right now. Welcome to the Metal Command Show. And of course, I have two members of the band, the Gems, with a new album you just put out and called Phoenix, correct? That's the name of the record.
That's correct.
And I'll be honest with you, it's a very good album. Tell us about it. It literally just came out, and you have this brand new record out, brand new band, and brand new start for you. And talk about the new album.
Should I start, Emily?
Yeah, you go ahead.
We released it on the 26th of January, which happens to be my birthday as well. We named it Phoenix because we did have what we consider kind of a Phoenix journey. We were kind of burnt really hard and things were taken away from us. So we had to rethink everything that we thought and regroup and rebuild, basically. And that's what we did, what we used 2023 to do. And we wrote the album in, I would say, less than 6 months. And on the 6th month, we were in the studio recording that album, which became Phoenix. And it's a strong album where you can, if you take the time to actually listen to the lyrics, you can really follow our healing journey from being really, really sad to angry to, just starting to see the light in the tunnel and all that stuff. So I think it's relatable for any person that's going through a tough time. But in our case, I got fired from the band, and the girls, Emily and Mona, decided to leave that band and start something new with me. So it's I'm forever grateful for them. I love them. And I think that what we're doing now is just so perfect for us. And we are all in a much better place and get to actually enjoy music again, which sadly I wasn't doing the last few years. Music wasn't really fun anymore. It was just kind of routine. And with us, I'm finding that passion and love again. So there's so much to this album. Emily, do you want to add something?
No, but just this album is like a baby born in hard work and true friendship. We wouldn't be able to do this album without each other. It's really like a true team effort, and it's really, really special. I mean, we have released albums before, but I just feel something else about this album. It's like I'm releasing an album the first time, because I've never been this excited and proud of an album before.
Sure. Well, the first impression that I had on the record when I heard it, it has all of the songs have a very positive vibe to them. I don't know if you felt that, but when I was listening to the record, I heard obviously heard a couple of the singles, but the album itself has a very upbeat and very positive vibe to that. Was that intentional, or is that how the songs just kind of came out when you were writing them?
I mean, I think it mirrors the person that we are, because, we do have some really angry songs, where we're truly pissed off, but those songs are also about empowering and to not give up, don't take any shit. And we definitely always want to give people some inspiration to move on. And I guess that was kind of a therapy for us as well, to kind of turn the feelings into something positive and something good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I noticed, which I actually liked because it's not something that a lot of bands really do right now, is the fact that all of these songs, I mean, there's quite a few tracks on this thing, but all of these songs are very short and straight to the point. And when I say short, I mean like more like radio friendly as far as the length of the song. Like there's no, like a lot of metal bands, for example, will have a song that draws out an extra 2 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
These songs are like 3.5 minutes. They're like 4 minutes. They are very straightforward. There's no like, crazy instrumental parts or anything. But, back in the old days when, people would listen to radio for the most part, most of the time you couldn't have a song more than 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes. And if you did, the band would actually cut parts out and make that song, maybe cut a minute out of it and make the, radio edit version. But all these songs are kind of like, they're pretty straightforward. I mean, there really is no extra filler in them, I guess is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. And that's an active choice that we made because
Mm-hmm.
our intentions is to get rock and roll to the masses. And you got to be smart and strategic about that. Plus, I think we all enjoy a 3-minute song. That's our generation. And we like it to get straight to the point, get to the core. I don't know if that's a Swedish thing, a Swedish songwriter type of thing, but you want to have a strong hook and you want to, like there's no point with these parts. Like for me personally, those like long extended things tend to be so extremely boring and makes me want to skip the song. So for me personally, it's also like that's my preference of, I like a song to be no more than 4 minutes. So that's something that we had in mind when we wrote the songs. And we are a classic rock band, but we also package it in a modern way.
Mm-hmm.
And that combination makes it so it makes no sense to have a song that's 6 minutes or an intro that's like a minute long. And these things that nobody cares about anymore. We want to try to get new people into rock music, and you can't do that by keep doing it the old school way. And if you like the old school way, then maybe through us you can find those bands and go ahead and really enjoy them when you have time.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is the attention span most people don't have a very long attention span anymore. Like I'll give you an example. I get analytics on Facebook. I get analytics on YouTube and places like that. And it will say the average view time of a video might be maybe 8 minutes. The video could be 30 minutes, but the average viewer is viewing it 8 minutes. I think on Facebook, I think the average view on a video is going to be like 5 or 6 minutes. So the thing is that the same is going to go for music. If you make a 20-minute song, not saying not every band does that, but there are bands that do that. It's only a small niche audience that really is into that, because most people, they just have a short attention span. It's just how things are. They get distracted by their phone. They get distracted by whatever's going on. So when I listened to this, it was, as weird as this might sound, it was actually very easy for me to be able to, I just kept up with the album. I wasn't really distracted by it. I listened to the whole thing all the way through, but each song was easy to pay attention to because they were only like 3.5, 4 minutes. And so when I think, I don't remember, I read an article one time, there's a formula for songwriting. Like if you write a hit song, right? And part of that formula is the song can't be any more than 3.5 to 4 minutes. So I think a lot of the tracks on here were very easy to get into because they weren't like very long. I don't know if anybody's asked you this question before, but it's just something that I noticed. It's like one of the first things I noticed about the record, besides the fact that I liked it, was that every song is straight to the point. There's no like.
It's fun that we never really heard anybody say this, but it was intentional for sure. Like, and also that we wanted to put the songs in an order the way that Guernica mentioned before, like you can, if you listen to the album from start to end, you can follow our emotional journey, like the
Yeah.
emotionals we went through last year. And yeah, we also wanted to have like a diverse album, you know, with different types of, you know, what's the point with having like all the songs sounds the same? We wanted to have like
Mhm.
different influences and different types of songs. And I hope that it's a fun album to listen through, and that, yeah, that you can keep up with it.
I think
I
it's a huge compliment, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
it makes me so happy because, yeah, I'm one of those people with a very, very tiny attention span. And even our interludes, I think we managed to make them interesting, you know?
right.
Because the interlude thing was just a fun, extra retro thing, but we still made them unique and interesting, each one of them, and not too long them like either. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that. So I'm happy and really thank you for saying that because, yeah, I think that's important. And we are definitely one of those bands that are taking it serious, trying to get rock and roll into the future. And so that's something I'm really proud of. The fact that we're really revamping the style, yet bringing, that old school vibe back again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I noticed in some of the songs, there's definitely, you brought up the fact that you're talking about, classic rock sounding stuff. I noticed there's definitely some 70s vibes in some of these tracks, when I was listening to them. And like, for example, the song, like the song, like Kiss It Goodbye would be an example. I almost thought of, I think that was the track. I almost thought of like the very first riff in the song. I almost felt like late 70s, like early Van Halen for the first riff of the song. It sort of had that sort of vibe to it. And that was actually my next question is, you do have, it almost feels like 70s, it's got a 70s vibe to it, but a little more modern, like a modern touch onto it. And that's what a lot of the songs actually reminded me of on this record.
Of Van Halen, you mean, or
Just 70s classic rock vibe in general.
Yeah, and that's the classic rock that we all love. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a mixture between a lot of our favorite bands. So we have, I mean, Mona is such a great guitar player. So
Mm-hmm.
having, being gutsy enough to be inspired by Van Halen the way that we've done it on this record, we can do because we have a player that can back it up and do it live and is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So I think that's really fun, but there's a little bit of everything. I mean, Emily, do you want to add, like, we have Maiden on there and like some
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Zeppelin.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely spot on with the 70s classic rock, but also, I mean, all those 70s bands, also in their 80s era, we have like taken some inspiration as well. Like, and there's a lot of inspiration from Queen and, I mean, Kiss and, all those bands that we really love. And it's been just, I mean, it's just amazing to be able to be this free creatively to just try out stuff in the studio and to play around with things. And then somehow we just managed to wrap it up in a package called the Gems.
Yeah, absolutely. So the name The Gems, what was the reasoning behind, like how did you come up with that name? Was there any kind of inspiration behind coming up with the name? Did you come up with the name and the name of the band? And talk about the name of the band. How did you come up with that?
I mean, everything that happened in the beginning of last year was a big shock to us. We did not plan to quit our previous band in different ways and to somehow start from the beginning again. So we were all in shock for sure, but we decided to just we started to work with this new band immediately. And yeah, one of the first things we did was to play around with band names. And
Yeah.
Guernica started to, try stuff with our initials and, GEM. Oh, that's a gem. That's actually a thing, a gemstone. And we really we liked it. It was short, it was easy. And you know, there was so much like symbolic stuff with that, you know.
Yeah.
By hard pressure you get diamonds, you know. We could play around with a lot of things, and yeah, we gave it some thought because yeah, we wanted to try other names as well, but then we just landed in the Gems because that was the, yeah, it was just the name that made most sense for us, I guess, and we really liked it, all of us.
Yeah. All right, so we'll talk about this really quick. I met you, I believe it would have been fall of 22. So probably, you know, a little over, that's a year and a half. So I remember sitting down with all of you, you know, you guys played in Cleveland, you know, you were with your previous band, and, you know, you had, you know, you did some various side gigs. So I remember sitting down and interviewing you, and then like 2 months later, all of a sudden, everybody's gone. Nobody's in the band. Everybody's pretty much out of the band. And I've done this show for 26 years. I've maybe seen that happen twice. So it's not something I've seen happen often. What exactly happened, and why all of a sudden? Because I look, and all of a sudden I see Thundermother has a completely different lineup. And I look at my feed and I'm like, what the hell happened? Right. And I, like I said, I've rarely ever seen that. I've seen people get fired from bands or people leave, but I've never seen like the entire band except for one person, unless it's like Yngwie Malmsteen or some kind of like solo artist, which even then I don't really ever see that too much. Right. What happened and what led to you guys being gone? Because I don't think I've really seen much of what led to it.
Well, we haven't really shared too much about what actually led up to me getting fired, because and I still believe that to this day. But during my time in Thundermother and all of our times, we felt that whatever was happening behind the scenes was our business and nobody else's business, and we cared a lot about building the brand and making sure that from the outside, everyone would think that we were a really solid unit and we cared for each other, and we sold that idea. And I feel like we should be like Oscar nominated actors because we're that good, because everyone really thought and believed that we were best friends and diddly-doo, we are happy together. But no, we were not. It was horrible. A lot, like very tough years. We all have our different stories with that same person, but we've all been this close to not being able to continue music at all due to this person. And what also is important to know in this story is that she's done this 6 times before. I've noticed that. I went, when I started looking up lineup changes, I actually did a podcast on this. When you turn over a lot of people in a band, it ruins the continuity in a sense, because you have to then, you have a new singer, you have new players, you don't know these people typically, and then you have to go through the process of getting to know them. Yeah. And bands, when they switch lineups, I can tell you it's not, and they do it frequently, it's usually not a good idea, because people will identify with certain members, and when those members are gone, or you're shuffling people in and out, it's hard to identify with that. And that's why it doesn't happen too often. Most people in bands typically don't want to like replace people all the time, because it's a lot of work to get that person into the band and get them up on the material, and then you have to go through the process of getting to know them again, which is why it sort of surprised me, because you know, it's one thing if one person leaves, but when 3 out of the 4 people are gone, that's when it kind of throws you through a loop a little bit, because the vibe that I got is everybody was in a pretty happy mood, and that band was actually, I mean, you're opening for the Scorpions. It wasn't like you were playing all these little club shows. You were playing some pretty big shows, and for that to just happen actually shocked me. Now, I have worked for, and I have been a part
of some pretty big bands that have gone through these kinds of things. And obviously, there's always going to be two sides. There's always the three sides of the story, right? I always say one person has their version, one person has their version, and there's what happened. I don't sit here and try to guess with that. But my thing is, did you see this coming? Was this something that, did it take you by surprise, or was this something you maybe had saw coming?
I mean, it was a total surprise because, we had that big momentum. Like we had just been on tour with the Scorpions in North America. Like that was a big dream come true to be on a arena tour, and to fire. I mean, Filippa decided to fire Guernica. That was the thing, and we didn't have any saying in that, which was like a big, betrayal, because we had been doing this band together as a band. We were a team, we were a democracy. No matter what happened behind the scenes, we did all this work together. And all of a sudden, me and Mona didn't have a saying in this decision to fire Guernica, and I didn't want to be in the band without Guernica. Her internet has broken down, by the way.
I see
so
that.
she's not in this conversation anymore. Here she comes. Anyway, it was, if we don't take the personal aspects, if we take away that, it was a business suicide to fire the lead vocalists of the band. The one vocalist that had been like making the band the most successful it had ever been. And we just didn't understand anything. And we tried our best to, stop this from happening. But as soon as we realized that she had already made her decision, she had already a new singer to replace Guernica, I just told her, like, go find a new drummer. And I mean, that was like, in a way, wasn't easy decision for me, because I rather be in a band with Guernica and Mona, and I'd rather be in a band that is actually a band, a real true team, and everything that comes with that. But at the same time, I gave up maybe my biggest chance of a career in my lifetime. I don't know, but I really don't care, because at that point, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. So we all are much happier now.
I apologize, my computer broke down, so I had to go on my phone. But hi.
And actually, I really need to leave now. So
it's okay.
Can you take over?
I'll take over. Yes.
It was so nice to talk to you.
You too.
And catch you later.
We will catch you later. All right. So, I mean, I thought it was weird because all three of you are gone, and there's already a lineup there. Like it's lineup,
really disrespectful. I think it's very weird.
Like that had to have been. So I can tell you, in my experience, I like I said, I've worked for some pretty well-known bands in my day, and I would say 99% of the time when a member was gone, they didn't have anybody to replace them right away. This was like all three of you are gone, and bam, there's a new lineup, and I was like, "The hell happened?" Right? I mean, that was the one thing that kind of shocked me a little bit, because it was almost like this had been planned for quite a while, and I could tell you
that's exactly what it was, and it was a shock for all of us because. I mean, besides it being extremely disrespectful, it just negates everything that has what she's been trying to make people think, because she already had a new singer like long before she wanted to try to talk to me or anything.
Yeah. And I
also think it's kind of tragic to because we know the person in question, we also know that she panicked and she threw something out there without being strategic, smart with PR or anything, being impulsive and just making herself look bad by, just because we shared that we had a new band. She then felt pressured to put out her own band herself. I mean, it's so obvious.
Well, now let's, and again, I was asking before, did you see this coming? Like,
I mean,
did you expect something might have happened, or did it take you by surprise?
she threatened me on the US tour with it, but I never took her serious because I thought it was like career suicide. I mean, I mean, not just like getting rid of me. I mean, I knew what the consequences would be if we all left the band. That's what I'm saying. Because I'm not that full of myself that I believe that I'm irreplaceable or anything like that. Never. It's just that I've had problems with her more or less since the first year that I was part of the band. We're like water and oil, so we clash quite a lot. And so I honestly, and I had like just learned how to handle and deal, with her, like just being around her, and like I usually, avoided her when we didn't have to do stuff together, stuff like that. So for me, it was just, I never took it serious. And so when it actually happened, I just thought she was crazy. And it was also very hurtful because I just think what we created together and what we got the band to be together is such a rare thing, and it's so tough to build a band to what we had done that I think that you have to be more than crazy to mess it up. But I also think that she's her own worst enemy, so she's going to continue to ruin things for herself because her ego gets in the way. And that's just sad, but it's the fact.
I mean, the album that you put out was very good. And that you put out with them was actually a very good record. And I just felt, like I said, I felt like there was a lot of momentum that
it wasn't them then. It was actually us. Like, that's the crazy part. The only reason she can keep going as Thundermother is because she trademarked the band name behind our backs.
Okay.
That's the only reason, because Thundermother is a solo project, and people should know that. So when you compare it to Yngwie Malmsteen, obviously you can't even compare the quality of playing, but if you compare it to him being upfront with being a solo player, that's what she should have been doing from day one. And it's just ridiculous that anyone out there would believe that it's a real band. They're all hired guns, and she's the dictator of the project. It doesn't matter what she says. Like, that's just fact.
And the thing is, I think that's a big trend that goes on. Honestly, if you go to like most bands, if you think really long and hard, you could pretty much tell who the one or two people are that run the band. Right.
Yeah, I mean, usually they're honest about it. They're not trying to make it seem in interviews or lie to people and be like, we're a real band and we really like each other and all this bullshit. Like, be real. Everyone knows that everyone in Alice Cooper's band is a hired gun. They seem happy. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a hired gun. It's just honesty is lacking.
Like Whitesnake. I mean, they're all hired guns, right? I mean,
Nobody
so
they're playing the music, people enjoy it, like whatever. But just trying to make it seem like it's a real band, it's just ridiculous to me.
Okay. So now that you're out, how difficult was it to start over? Was it easy for you to get together, write this record? I mean, pretty much you're not in the band. There's no record deal. It really technically, in the beginning, there really is no band name. You haven't written anything yet. Was it difficult for you to start over, or in the case, or was it a case of, I feel kind of relieved I'm not dealing with this anymore, then we can go and do what we want? And it wasn't like super stressful for you to start over?
No, it was really stressful and it was really hard. It was extremely tough. I think the feelings of relief is something that has come along the way. Like, when I can look back on what we accomplished in, like, let's say 6 months, like when we were in the studio recording the album, then those feelings started to creep up of like, wow, I'm so proud of us. And I'm really grateful I don't have to work with her anymore, because that was killing me from the inside. And it was the same for all of us. So I'm grateful for that. But when everything happened, I was devastated, and it was really tough.
Yeah.
But I would say that one of my, I guess one of my superpowers is that I don't easily give up on things, and I've decided that I want to make music my career and my life, and I've devoted my entire adult life to this. So I'm not going to let something like this stop me.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to have two amazing humans with me by my side, because I think the situation would have been completely different if I didn't have Mona and Emily by my side. Then I would probably be in a deep, deep depression, not being able to get out of bed. But being that I had them and their support, and I also have a loving family and, you know, friends that have been by my side helping me through it all. I just, I don't know, I'm a fighter. Okay, it's like, I don't know, but like my only thing, like when I've been in like bad relationships, I like while crying, I'm like already like starting to plan an exit plan. And that's kind of how it was. Like while I was, being devastated and crying in my mind, I'm already like, what's the next step? Like I'm already trying to figure ways out of this hole, because I don't want to be in a hole. I want to continue thriving and developing, and doing what I love. So yeah, I guess that's the kind of personality trait that I have. I don't easily give up on things. So
yeah. And the other thing is too, when it comes to bands, music, stuff like that, it's one thing if you're on tour and you maybe, let's say two people don't get along. I mean, you only have to really tactically, if you want, maybe see them an hour or two a day, right? Whereas if you're in a studio, you go and record a record, you're around that person all the time. And to me, I've been in situations where I had to get out of them. Just the personalities just don't click. But when I first heard this record, when I first heard the song, I think Phoenix, I think that was the first single, right? Completely different vibe than what you were doing in your previous band. I mean, it was completely different. I was actually quite surprised by the song, to be honest with you, because it's a lot different. This is a much different record than what you did with Thundermother. I mean, it literally, it's a night and day record in the sense that the songs are just different, right? And to me, like I said, it had this for going through a very negative experience. I mean, starting over sucks, because then it's like you've taken 10 steps back, right? But to me, this album had a very positive, I get that there's an emotional aspect to the lyrics and what you were going through, but every one of these songs has a very positive vibe to it. Like there's nothing in here that I could go and say, okay, this is like negative. This doesn't, I don't feel like sadness. Like some people will write a record and to reflect how they feel. And some of these songs are kind of sad, right? I mean, it happens. This record is not like that at all. And, it makes sense because I'm looking at, you look at the song titles, for example, like, stuff like, believe it or not, my favorite song on the album is probably Undiscovered Paths. I think that probably reflects what you went through, right? I mean, to go through this. But that was probably, here's the thing. I think the record gets better as you get into it.
All right. Thank you.
Right. Like when I listened to the first couple songs, they're okay. But then as soon as I get to the song, like Warrior, I'm sorry. Let me get out of this because I cannot hear you. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
As soon as I get to the song, Domino, that was the track that really sort of got me into the album.
Yeah.
And it just kind of it got better as it went on. Right. And so I think that you could kind of tell by the song titles and the lyrics, it was kind of about like a journey that you took. But I honestly believe that starting over is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
it truly is. It's like, you know, it's hard in any aspect of life starting over, but music and getting anywhere in music is so incredibly hard.
Yeah.
And it's so getting the rug pulled under your feet like we did, and
Mhm.
me especially in this case, or we all did really, because they would never have, you know, quit the band if I was still in it. It's tough. It's really tough, but I want to explain why I think you get a positive vibe throughout the record. It's because I really believe in like manifesting things and like, you know, what's the word? I'm a self-fulfilling prophecies, and that's a main reason that I don't want to get stuck in that negative. Like, yeah, I
Mhm.
want to get it out. I want to write about it. I'm angry as hell, but at the end of the day, I'm still looking towards, you know, the future and hoping that tomorrow is going to be better and the day after that is going to be even better. And like,
Sure.
we're always, and we've dealt a lot with our sadness by laughing together, and, you know, like always trying to see the silver lining and everything. So yeah, I'm proud of that. That's just how we are as people. And as depressed as whatever we could be, we always really try our hardest to see something positive or be grateful for at least having a roof over our head. You know, like this, the minimal thing just at the moment when you're at your lowest, so you can start getting up. And yeah.
Well, I think that records can reflect how well people in the band are getting along with each other.
Yeah.
There are albums by bands that I'll listen to them and you could kind of feel that something is not right. Okay. And you all of a sudden you look at people now, the Thundermother album didn't feel like that, but there are bands, some instances when you listen to the record, something doesn't feel right. And then all of a sudden, you know, all of a sudden you look and Blabbermouth has a headline, these 2-3 guys are gone. This album to me is a reflection of the fact that you all get along so well with each other. And I think that is where I think the positive aspect of this comes to light. You know, the three of you being on the same page, being friends, getting along extremely well, and going through the starting over process. I think that is why the album has the positive vibe, at least from my end, from how I view it. And
I mean, that's all true. So
yeah, you from the first single, I could tell there was a major difference. The whole vibe of the band, just from the first single, was what really came off to me as positive. And you know what you also did that I'm going to tell you something that really annoys the crap out of me in music. One thing that you all did is you picked some of the stronger songs to put as singles, because I don't know what it is, a lot of labels and bands will pick like the worst song in the album to make it as a single, like to put it out. You put out probably one of the better songs on the album, which I think was great. It's a very upbeat. Phoenix is a very upbeat, very straightforward, just no BS kind of song to put out there. And I can tell you that I don't know if you picked the song or if the label did, but whoever picked it did a great job, because you picked it. Yeah, you did a great job at that, because a lot of bands don't, or labels do a very, I would say, a piss poor job at doing that. You'll hear a record and you're kind of disappointed by the single. Then you listen to the record, like, why did they put these other like 8 songs that are really good? They could have picked from. And they picked that one, and it happens a lot. So I think you did a lot of things right with this album. From I think the album cover, to the way the songs were written, and the fact that you picked singles off of this album that, in my opinion, are some of the better songs on the record.
Well, I mean, I guess that's what you should do. And we try to spread it out. So we would, because I know when we put out Undiscovered Paths as a single, it was one of our, I guess, riskier choices, because that's one of the songs that really stands out and has kind of its own vibe on the album. But everyone that heard the song, that we trust their opinion, they were really impressed by the song and they really liked it.
It's my favorite song in the album, just so you know.
Thank you. So that's why we decided to have that as a single, because we're not scared anymore and we're making these decisions on our own. So yeah, we listen to the label, we listen to everyone, but at the end of the day, we decided the singles. And it's because we're doing this our way now. And our way is being daring. And, you know, there's always going to be people questioning, like, why did you do this song? Or why did you? Because we wanted to. And that's our creative freedom. So whether you like it or you don't, it doesn't really matter to us because we love it. And we're really proud of what we put out. So,
I mean, I don't think there's a lot to really question on this. You know, these are very straightforward tracks. I mean, like I said, there's no craziness. There's no like, you know, these songs are like 3.5, 4 minutes long. I mean, there really isn't much to really question about them. And I think, and I haven't done a review yet, but you know, one of the things I'll probably be saying in it is that this is an album that I think the further you get into it, and I'm talking about when you go down the track listing, the better this record gets. Like I would probably, you know, it's just one of those albums. It's just how it is. But the songs are very straightforward. I like the fact that you have more of a upbeat, positive, almost like 70s classic rock vibe in a sense in a lot of these tracks. But I think for starting out from nothing, which is pretty much, aside from your experience, you had to start out from nothing. I mean, right? I mean, band name, no songs, none of that stuff. And you pretty much have done this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to just add to it because I feel like it's unfair to bands that are really starting from nothing and up and coming bands. We did start from nothing technically, but we have a lot of experience in Thundermother all those years, and I've done stuff on the side, and all of us have done things on the side that make it so people know who we are and are also kind of aware how big of a part we played in Thundermother becoming as big as Thundermother did. I mean, as far as Thundermother's career, the to date, the biggest things that have happened is with us involved. So, and I would say Heatwave and Black and Gold are the most successful albums, and we were part of creating them and you know, being part of the evolution of the band sound. So I think people that understand music and people in the music industry could hear that and understand, like, we know how the two first records sound. It's starting, something interesting here is starting to happen, and that would have never happened with just the old, just that one person. You know what I mean? I mean, as soon as we announced, we had labels asking to sign, you know, with us without us having a band name. And I think that that's a testament to how our hard work has paid off, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is, that doesn't happen too often. I could tell you just by how record labels work, that's not something that happens too often. So totally, I totally get that. But even then, you still have to, you know, you still have to put the work in. Right. You still, you know, the work has to go into writing the songs. The label has to be sold on the songs. You have a brand new band name, which means from the marketing perspective, in a very saturated social media environment, you are still having to work up from nothing in that case.
Yeah.
So even though, I mean, you have your experience and you have a reputation, but there's lots of musicians who have been let go from bands who have a reputation that labels show interest in, and you know, once the label hears the songs, they're not interested anymore. So you're still really technically starting over. I think that
I just didn't want anyone that just has a band to believe that labels are going to throw themselves at you, because that's not going to happen. I just wanted to give a realistic point of view.
I gotcha.
Yeah, we are definitely, and I can feel it in many aspects, where we're working really hard to build our brand.
Yeah. And that's really, these days, that's what you do. I do that with the show. and it's the same thing. I mean, you have to build a brand, and it seems the reception to the record from the reviews that I've read. I don't really like listening to music reviewers, but I like to see like what people rate a record. It seems like everything's been overly positive on this album, for the most part. Like I don't think I've seen any bad ratings that I've noticed. I don't get a chance to really go out and look at that stuff, but I did briefly kind of type in the band name to see what kind of reviews you were getting, and I think they all seem pretty positive for the most part.
Yeah, it's like I would say like probably around 7 out of 10. If that's the scale they use.
Mhm.
So I mean, for a debut album, we are very happy and
Mhm.
very grateful that people are liking what we created.
Do you have any touring plans coming up?
Well, we just had a meet. We're talking to our booking agents today, so
Okay.
We will have I think a 4-week long European tour in the fall.
Okay.
But won't be able to share any dates until I guess March.
Yeah.
And then we're hoping to do things in Scandinavia. We're just a few shows here and there, but and some festivals this summer. But a lot, being that we are a new band and we had to like kind of prove ourselves, and people want to know what we are about musically. Now that the album is out, that's going to be very telling of how much bookings we can actually get from
Yeah.
it. So it's been a kind of like a what's it called? Moment 22, like a whatever. It's just been a little weird, but I think the coming weeks are going to be very exciting.
Sure.
I have
Yeah.
high hopes.
Yeah, a lot of times, a lot of labels will use, a lot of them use Spotify to measure the audience of a band these days. I mean, it's almost like the standard thing, which I think is somewhat unfair in a sense, but, a lot of times they use that. They may go by past reputation, from what you've done previously and market it that way. But yeah, I mean, touring's the hardest aspect because especially over in Europe, it's really, really, it seems to be a lot, even though it's very costly and the cost have gone up dramatically here. Over there, from what everybody tells me, it's really super expensive. And that's always difficult to get the tour. I mean, you can make the record, great, but now you got to go play some shows, and that could be somewhat challenging logistically because of that.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, and after the pandemic also, you have to prove ticket sales. And if you haven't been touring, you don't have anything to prove yet. So it's a situation that we're in, but I'm confident that we're gonna get through it and it's gonna be great. And that's kind of my mindset also, why I do believe that even though we are a new band, that whatever successes we accomplished in Thundermother, we're going to be able to recreate and surpass, because we're really hardworking people and we know what it takes to do those things.
It is, the second most difficult aspect. It's a funny saying. Somebody once said to me, "You have all the time in the world to write the debut album, but then you have a much shorter time span usually to write the next one." And that's usually always becomes, once you get the ball rolling, because people have a short attention span, then you got to start working on the next album. And so obviously you have a road ahead of you, but it looks like you've pushed through a lot of difficulties to be able to do what you're doing, and all three of you are very driven to the point where you made this happen. You made this happen quite quickly. It wasn't like you waited years. I mean, this was that single came out pretty quick after you were out of the band. And so I think to be able to go from that, start over, write the tracks, record them, then go through the process of going through and promoting this thing, it was relatively pretty quick, and you pushed through quite quickly. And that just kind of shows me what kind of drive you have to make this work. Not just you, but
all of us.
Yeah, all three of you. Yeah,
we did it together, but that's exactly how it is. And we wanted to take advantage of the momentum that we had helped create as well in Thundermother.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we got a Scorpions tour in Europe was because we impressed them on the US tour.
Mhm.
I don't know how the European tour then went, but I would think it's strange to go ahead and do those dates with the band that's not ready for that kind of opportunity. But that's my opinion, and honestly, I have no idea how it went. But I'm just saying that proves like we weren't feeling great, but we were still accomplishing a lot of things in a situation that was toxic. So
Yeah.
now that we're actually feeling great, we have even more energy to continue, doing this.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely. Because I had lost my voice, unfortunately, I'm behind on. I have a whole bunch of album reviews I have to do this week. But I think the album's very good. It is, after listening to it all the way through for, when Napalm sent me the promo, I think the album's quite good. I think the album it's very easy to get into. And I think you hit a home run with this, as we say here. And yeah, I mean, I wish you the best on it. I think you're going to be successful with it if you continue on the path that you're at. And that's just my opinion and what I've seen over the last quarter of a century with people. And I think that you're driven enough to make it happen. I think that's people don't realize you have to want it. You have to want it bad. And I think that all three of you do. And that's why I think this will be successful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I hope so too. I mean, I know it will.
Any last words? Any last words for anybody that's going to be checking this out?
Well, I mean, follow us on Spotify. That would, help us a lot, like as a band, because then you'll get new releases and all that stuff straight to you. And then follow us on Instagram and Instagram, Facebook. We have our website, thegems.se. We also are building our YouTube channel. So if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that'd be amazing. And we're putting out covers on there, songs and, acoustic versions of things. And yeah. So yeah, follow us everywhere. We appreciate that a lot. And I'm hoping that we get to go and tour in America.
Folks, in the show notes, I will have links to all of that. So, but anyway, I really thank you for coming on, taking the time, talk about the record, talk about some of the stuff that you had to go through. And definitely on this show, you're always welcome to come on anytime you want.
So thank you for having me again.